Our next session is going to be on ad hoc reporting. Hoc reporting AHS 100 and 110. To start with, back in March, we talk about these sessions and these things back in March, and we were in our final sessions of the week, and something came up about ad hoc reporting. And because I'm very good at sticking my foot in my mouth, I said, I got that one. I can do that for you. I'll do this report for you. And I can show you what's going on there. So here we are 8 months later, and I'm finally getting to it. So for those of you that ask, I apologize. And I apologize in advance if it's not as detailed as you want. To start with, what we're going to do here is more of a macro view. So we're going to talk about it, and I'm going to do this in a live presentation. So we're going to cross our fingers there also. As we start down this ad hoc reporting, CGR, which is who I'm with, we started using it when we went from on-premise to single tenant. And during that time, as you know, many of you probably know, all of this single tenant stuff and all this reporting that you have out there, you can easily run the reports and get the information that you want. You can touch the database and jump out there. When you jump into the single tenant world, Infor says, that's my data and we're going to do with it here. So you can't play with it the way that you used to play with it. And understandably so. So we started down this path with ad hoc reporting, and to use it to give users who had tons of reports that they needed. They didn't know why they needed them. They didn't know when they got them, but they needed them. And I think we all know how that goes. But with that said, there were some that are very pertinent to their job and how they get their information. So it was suggested that we go to and use ad hoc reporting. In single tenant, it was a little better than it is multi-tenant. We're in multi-tenant now. And as we transferred over, there were some things that made it a little tougher in multi-tenant. Not as many, there were different bells and whistles, I'll say, but the connections to other tables and all that wasn't as nice. But we did have Data Lake, we did have Compass, we had other things there. So there's other tools. And as we move forward, now there are tons of tools that people use. We use ad hoc reporting here at CGR for users to gain access to certain data, quick reports and all that, whether it's on a scheduled report or whether it is on a display, a live reporting. So that's what we use it for now. It's more simple reports. When it gets more of the detailed, and data comes out there, there's other things, but this is something that we feel, if it's not readily available to get exactly what we want out of there, and a user needs it out there. So, so to get started, I'm going to jump right in, and I'm going to try and do a presentation and create a report here for you. So that will get us part of the way there. I'm in the wrong place, but that's okay. So let's see here. So AHS 110 or 100, I'm sorry. So again, this is a macro. It may be so remedial that you guys say, why is he trying to show me this? But this is the rate that I'm. When you jump into ad hoc reporting, which is AHS 100 here, there are most of the tables that are within M3 that you would have using, but they're all prefaced with an M3 and M3 underscore. So if you go in and you're looking for, the MITMAS, you'll see, your item master table there. And to go through what I do, and I think what Infor recommends at this point, is to copy these tables before you start. So today, to just to go through, what I would do is I'm going to copy this and copy this report, whatever here, and we'll call it MOGA. Okay. So we're creating a report group, and this group here is taking that table that we just there, the MIPBOW table, and it's coming across and it's just creating it out here, and I'll call it MOGA here, and we'll have this information out. So it tells you the master table that you're going through, tells you where you're coming across, and there is the library if you have an archiving library that you want to send things out to, and all. So first page, we'll go in and we'll do it. Add that information and jump in, and then you get to, of course, the report itself and what you want there. So we created the table, we copied it over into it, and now we're into the report group, and we're going to call this one the same thing, and we need to create it. Whoops, sorry, I'm under the report group, and we'll call it. So as we go in here, of course, we need to give it, we create one just like you do everything else. We're going to give it a name, and we're going to come into the report here. A few things that we do, or that is here available for you and that we do, it asks you the file type that you want to do. And this is for your outputs and things that you want to get. It's a PDF, Excel, or both. And I choose both. I don't know which one I might want. I don't know which one my user might want. So we choose both. As we come across, we do want to say, or I do, you don't have to save these reports when they're run. But as these reports are run, you can say yes, no, or yes to the next run. That's normally what I do. And then if you come in, I do the same thing on the report lines. This is so if you go out there under where it's saved at, I believe I have to look, see AHS100 or whatever, you can go back and look at these reports until then. In doing that, you do need to create an area to store these. And so we created these, and we have a couple of different areas for it, but there and for the report location and then the document itself. These you can jump out there and create and all that. I'm not going to go through all of this because, again, this is a more of a macro level type training, or I won't even call it a training, presentation. Let's do it that way. The thing that that you can do here too, now you can come in and you can say, okay, where do I want this information to go to when it's run? If we're running the report, and that information, you can go into the current user if you have those set up, or you can say I want it to be in a specific email key here, or you can, there is, yeah, that's the one there. I thought there was no. You can do that. You can tell it just to print, but I mean, you see those things there, and you can say, yep, I spelled that wrong. Sorry. So as we go through, when you jump into the next page here, you're going to notice that, hey, when can I schedule this job? And it's just like your night runs or anything else. I want to say you can schedule it. You can run it, either one. And then there are the categories that, that we can set up to say, which ones do you want to run? Is it a weekly? When is it? How do we set them up? We've got 3 set up now, but we'll call this one a night run one and say that it can be run at any point in time. As we come through, you can set date limits for the reports. If you're building something and you just want people to run them for a certain period of time, I mean, a lot of this is self-explanatory, but just touch and base a little bit on them and the period type here in your accounting periods, whatever you want to do, the date range and how you want that set up. As we go through, you can tell it to send the application message of, this was run or failed, whatever, or you can normally I don't send them because all of the reports would get run. I don't want them coming to me, all of them. What we've done now, we've gone into the report designer. And you can jump directly there once you created this, of course. But we've gone into the report designer, and it started out again on the tables. If you'll, the table that we started out was with MIPBOW. And if we look in here, normally when you're in an item, it's going to attach MIPMAS because the item master is going to be attached to it to drive everything from. So that one will automatically be connected to the table here when you're dealing with items. coming across. When we start building this, this is really as simple as building a view, sorting order in a view. So when we come in, if we said here to go through today, if we want it, we can do it from inside of CRS 020, or we can jump in here and we'll talk about safety stock quantity. So today we're going to look at the safety stock, and we'll save this. I think we will. All right. So now this is telling me, the items that I have in this warehouse, and you say, well, I don't see anything out here. So we can go in here, and we're just looking for items with safety stock quantities on them. We add the filter, and if I come over and I say a 1, now I'm looking at items that has at least a safety stock of 1 and up to whatever. And that's good. Well, can you go to MMS 02 or those things and set them up? Can you use MMS 200? You can do some of that type of stuff. But what happens here is these continue to get on. There's more information, as everybody knows. And when you add one field, you add another field, and everybody wants to see this information. The good thing that we have here are virtual fields that we can go in and we can create some calculations. We can create just like you would if you were in a report or writing a SQL query or something for someone. So the preference here, what you need to do is you have to start out with ampersand here and give it 4 digits there. So we'll do the compare here, and we'll add this. When you go into this virtual field, you have to give it a field type. And what that means is, if just as you see here, today, what we'll do is we'll start out with a calculation here. And in this calculation, we're going to tell it how many, we don't need that many, but we'll leave it for today. Starting out, if we come down, let's give it 2 decimal places since it's a calculation. And the plus is to say, okay, what field, what object are we going to use here? So the first thing I want to do here is I want to do, let's see, I think. So I'm going to, whoops, shouldn't have hit that. So I've added the on-hand balance, and I'm going to subtract the safety stock. So I've got a compare field right here. If I jump back out, that virtual field that we just added, if we save that, now we can see if we have the available quantity. If the safety stock is less than the available quantity here, we see that and we go in. You can also, in this display screen in the report here in the design, you can take this and do conditional styles, just like you do in anywhere else. If you want to add a conditional style and do it. So if we wanted to go in now and we said, okay, let's go back and connect another table to it. So what table we want to do? We'll do the facility. And so we're add the item facility. And just like anything else, it's just allowing you to go in and make the connection, saying, okay, you got to do your company, your facility. How do you want to do that? You could set out to a specific value if you wanted to, and those things. One thing that happens in some of these, if some of the fields are not populated, or when you go in, you do it, you may have to set them to a blank value or whatever so that it pulls everything. But if you do everything, every one that comes after that, you have to do also. So this kind of pulled them up, did it for me. Nothing there. So the next thing I want to come in, I have to give it some field from there. we'll put the cost price of it. And so now if I wanted to, I could go in and add this field to the same report. And but why would I do that? Well, is to see what the cost of that particular one is. But then in the virtual fields, now that that's out there, did I not? I can't type a lick. Told you live is great for this guy. So anyway, so if I wanted to come in and I wanted to say, okay, I want to add the another calculation, and if we come here and we add the we can add the let's just say we just want to see the value of the ones that are there that we're going to make. Don't make a liar out of me today. Okay. Had to give it a sequence there after the other because I had it before. I had no sequence in it. So if we jump back, look now. So now, and I didn't put any decimals in there. You can do a lot of the different things, and you can do the, the compares. You can do looking at the objects and all that. So as you go through, you can see that's kind of the things that we continue to build on and do, and it gets a little more detailed. And we do have some that are quite a bit more detailed. You can add other filters if you just want to look at, specific facilities. I thought it was. So if I add that facility there, and I just said, just want to look at the one facility. So there's a lot of things here you can do there. Now, where this gets good for us is once we build something out that a user wants, again, they can come in here and run it at will. Some of the things that we do, we have customer service who comes in and runs a report here on our backlog report. So we built it, to go in and show us all the backlog we have in the next 4 weeks. We have some that are out here for our purchasing team to go out and use and all that. So it's not something that they have to go in and run Compass, or they don't have to go run a SQL query. It's information that they want that is not in a standard report inside of M3. Well, we can set these up too. So if you go in and you say, run the report, again, you come out to the specific email key. You can say specific email address if you wanted to, whatever you want. And you go and you just have it out here. You create the parameters. If you wanted to set different ones, we have certain ones set to run for accounting that gets theirs for the different divisions or different facilities. You can schedule this. As we said before, back in the beginning, we went in and we said, under the job scheduler, we said we can schedule it or, run immediately or not at all. And just hit on the screen. And just like anything else in the SHS 030, 010 and all that, you can go in, set them up and do it. Create this report, save it, run it daily, monthly, hourly, whatever you choose to do. This is something I'm sure all of you are well aware of, but I'm not going to set it up to run. But this is how we run the reports. This is how we use the ad hoc internally. Again, it doesn't get as detailed as some of the reports, some of the things that you're going to use to do it. It doesn't do updates, but there are, of course, Compass, and I noticed that they put more fields out there that allow us to get more than 100 rows in Compass now. dBeaver, there's a lot of things, but using the data lake is very good. But this is good for us, for users that are trying to get data at whenever they want it. So anyway, sorry about that. But with that said, that is the quick one here. And like I say, I mean, again, you do know there's the virtual fields. You can add the virtuals, you can add the columns, you can add more tables to it. But you just build these out, and if I hit save here, so this just saved this report. And then if I went in and said, okay, but I have another user that wants to I don't know, they want to add another field to it, and let's just whatever it is here, and I have do it there. Then I can do just like anything else, just like the others. It's pretty simple to do a save it as here, another report here, and so let's save that one. So now. So now I have two reports, and if I come in and I wanted to look at this one instead, I can do that. So either report. That is my quick knowledge of ad hoc reporting. It's probably nowhere near what John was looking for, but John, I can put this on my checkoff list now. I just want you to know that. So I do have some experience using burst reports, and how do they compare to ad hoc? They are more detailed than the ad hoc, the ones that I use, and of course the data warehouse and all there, and the you can get much more granular in burst, but for me, using burst is a lot tougher at times. But we have tons of reports that we built in burst. So to answer that question, yes, we were just working on some new ones this morning. It's a great tool. It's more analytical than of course than the ad hoc. This is a quick and dirty one that users can use. But like I say, if we do have some that we send out in burst that are notifications that we send out again to accounting, to our CFO, to our sales manager, to those people that we pull them in. Gets more detailed. These are more what I would say is it's more limited than the burst. Karen, I mean, if you give people access to build views, their own views, and sorting orders and all that, heck, they can come in here and build their own. I have some users that would be okay with, but I am so protective of this because I know who's got to go back and fix it when they break it. We have had some views that gotten messed up, but with that said, yes, I need to be more trusting, and I get it. So Karen, you are 100% correct. John, when we were expanding on using it in multi-tenant, when we were in single tenant, we had to go back, and we went to multi-tenant. We had to go back and rebuild, and we had a lot of connections and a lot of connecting tables and pulling things across. And there's certain ones that we could not make those connections with. This has been 3 or 4 years ago. I remember, as you see this bald head here, half of that hair was pulled out for that very reason. We couldn't make those connections. We couldn't get things to do what we wanted to do in ad hoc that we previously could do in ad hoc. So then I'm trying to remember the guy's name from Infor that come back and told us this. There was a way, but it was very tough, and we went a different way. We added dBeaver. We started pulling information there, and one reason that we used dBeaver versus Compass was because Compass was allowing us to schedule, and plus it was limited to 100 lines. And like I say, I've noticed now that has changed, but that is my recollection is there was just not a lot of the virtual fields, a lot of things we tried to make those connections on. We could no longer do it in multi-tenant, and I'd have to go back and dig. I do not remember the reason why that is, but I do know that was the case. Well, the one reason for ad hoc reports is burst for us. Maybe yours is live, mine's not. Mine runs on a schedule at night. So it's not live data. Burst is not live data for me. I use burst more for KPIs. Not saying that we couldn't do it. And I know there is a live process there, but we do not do that. So that's why I would use that. And then also for people to be able to run it at wheel and update it and get live data. That's the number one reason. If I have simple information, if I get in more of a detailed report that has to be built and done, then I put it out there and let them run it there. But if it's something that's easier, building this here in burst for me, what we just did today, would take quite a bit more effort in burst, especially if the data and the links is not there. That's my opinion. Okay. And I reserve the right to be wrong. Okay. You are correct. You can build the dashboards there. A dashboard is, different there, but if you're trying to build more than that, more than just a single report, and those dashboards, the way that I view it is that's a combination of reports. When you build that dashboard and you put it out there, you're wanting to put it out there for a combination of reports. This is a single one-off scheduled report. This is just me, and we use it for simple data. Pulling these things this way is what we use it for. We do use burst. I'm not trying to tell you anyone here. I'm not trying to say go use ad hoc reporting and do this. This was a question that was brought up of using ad hoc reports. We do use ad hoc reports for those things, but this is not all we use. 100% not all we use. We do use burst. We use dbeaver to run basically SQL queries against the data lake. We do use reports that's built inside of M3, the standard reports, the OS 660s and those things. So we use a combination of them. Don't know if anyone else will use this at this point, but I do think it's a quick, and as Karen pointed out, she has some that her users go out there and they can create these. We don't, other than some drag and drops and all that, adding new fields and all that in burst and those other programs, we just don't let our users do. And we, number one, we haven't trained them to. So that's probably the number one reason. So that, Nadine, that is a good question. You can get half of that, I'm sure. The other part of it we would have to dig into with this limited knowledge that I have. It's a good report. What we are looking at in that range, and I don't know if you're a multi-tenant or not, so I don't know where you're at. We're actually looking at some of that type of thing and better ways to get that specific data. And another way to get that is through the workspaces. There are the workspaces that are out there, and we, just as late as early this morning, have someone looking at building the workspace to look at the days late and that type of thing there. So, anyway, as that is probably the extent of my knowledge and ad hoc and those things and what we do. I mean, I'd be glad to work with anyone or answer any other questions that I can answer. Again, I won't say I'm the resident expert. I will just say that I do know how to get into it and start it up. How about that? So, any other questions, concerning ad hoc reporting and that type of deal? Let's see, what's my time? Golly, this is going to be amazing if I finish 2 sessions early. That will be a record. Won it, Michelle.
It will be. We will be shocked. So please ask more questions because we don't want Steve to make a new record today.
No, you don't want to let him off that easy. So let's see. Where I went to learn ad hoc reporting, when we initially started on single tenant and moved in, we brought in a consultant. That's the initial place that we started learning ad hoc reporting. Since then, and when it came in and when we moved to multi-tenant, we went out to campus and pulled some information there. And then N4 Docs was the other. I do recall in saying that, I do recall even in multi-tenant when we moved over, there was one issue that we had in making a connection, and we entered a ticket with support or something, and it wound up being an hour-long session with a consultant that said, there's something wrong, and I wished I knew what it was. I think it was the document location. That's what it was, if you know. And I don't know why, when we went from single tenant and we moved our data over, and you notice we had those two locations in the storage. Yeah. Just trying to see here. Well, that's going to be in the reporting. The locations here, for some reason, we struggled for a long time there. And actually, I think this is when we had to get support and we wound up getting a consultant. And ultimately, what we had to do is just create a new location for it, which is not much of anything, but just a storage, an ad hoc report location. We struggled with the one that was here. Why it did, when we brought the first one over, it didn't do it, and we had to recreate. Had to go back to the database to do that. So we had a few problems there. But overall, I think as you go through and the documentation on it is not bad, and it's not. There are some, when you start connecting the virtual tables or the different things there and related tables, it can get a little bit off. But overall, I think you'll be able to navigate it pretty well once you start. That's good. They said just reach out to him for that. Good. We've got a connection. There is not, Owen, that I know of, not on this specific platform. But this one will be posted on the M3 user group how-tos. And what we are looking to do in the user group, we started it. And if you're a member, you'll notice that there's a how-to tab under members. And what we're looking to do is just that. Things such as this, but we want to make them probably shorter than what I went through. So to condense this and to go through and create those how-to videos, those quick ones there to do. And I'll give, what is her name? Emma, I believe, with Vance. She does a good job with her 2-minute videos on how to and specific things to get through. And that is a vision that I'm going to steal from those guys. I won't mention their names, Vince, but anyhow, I'm going to steal from those guys and try and push into the MUGA team here, as long as the board don't twist my arm away from it. But I think we're all been looking and pushing forward to that. So to get some of these out there. So good question. Yeah, we can add another filter. It's well, did I put it? Oh, I'm not where I thought it was. So adding the filters and all here is, you're allowed to add the 3 filters here. You can add the other filters in the virtual fields in the database here. But if I wanted to add another filter here, if I just went in and said I don't remember. You cannot, if I'm correct, you cannot add a virtual field as a filter. So if let's just say I want to come here and I want to change it to warehouse. It's as simple as adding those 3 filters across here is where you're allowed to do that. Any other filtering that I'm aware of, has to be done in other places. Now, again, you can get to the point that you're adding a filter here. This is, and I guess I'm calling those filters. I use them as filters. That's not the filter really. The filter is here. So I took that one away. I didn't need excuse me, I don't have a warehouse one. So if I add the filter here, and then the selection fields, I use them as filters. Some of the same. So I called that the wrong thing there, but it is used that way for me. And so if I'm here, but again, and if I just wanted to see anything out of safety stock over 100, or between whatever, but putting dates, times, we can put all of those in here. So that's how you would add another filter. Any other questions or comments? All right. Let's see. I'm still going to beat Michelle's thing. All right. I'm 2 for 2 today, Michelle. Just letting you know.
Good job.
So,
good job.
Thank you guys again. I hope that this was at least some, you got some value out of it. Please don't forget to go out there and put this, the comments and all, because we'll review some of that this afternoon in the closing session this afternoon, and I'll